Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original presented by Perplexity. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get this podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is, in fact, Foxworth Friday. Domonique Foxworth, what's going on?
Oh yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. There's a lot of crazy shit happening.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, man. I don't really be understanding like your whole approach to things, baby. This is the best place for this world wilding out on us, man. Like, all right, we're gonna get in just a minute. We're gonna talk about Aaron Rodgers. We're gonna talk about Dominique's fellow Terp. You know what I'm saying? You know, we might even get to some basketball. We got a lot going on here. But let me tell you something about the world, man. So I'm working on a little interior design project, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've told you about the project. Don't everybody need to know everything about the project, but I am engaging in a little interior design project. And my brother, who is Captain Gadget, was like, you know, you can do it with one of the chatbots, right?
Oh yeah.
And I said, huh. And the chatbot creates images or whatever. And so I go in there. I've been learning. I've been doing a little research, right? I tell the chatbot what I want. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I want some like Japanese and Moroccan principles to go with this. I want this, the wall set up this way. Oh, I got to see the pictures. They flames, right? Like I want to here. I want some vinyl storage over here. You know, you tell it a couple of things and then it cranks back a picture. And I'm like, oh, snap. Okay. Well, why don't you try this picture in this color? And it go, oh, snap. It does that. And I'm like, well, can you put it in a PDF? And it's like, boom. I could do that too, because I feel like I'm gonna need to talk to like a contractor, right? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the contractor do the stuff. So if I have it in a nice, presentable form, and so I spit it back in a PDF. I say, cool. I'm like, well, yo, how about this, man? Do this in 10 colors. And then when you get finished in the 10 colors, just put it in a PDF for me. And it's like, cool, I got you. I say, hey, how long you think this is gonna take? And it says to me, I'll get it for you tonight. All right, cool, right? But I'm getting a little impatient as it goes, and I'm thinking, they said tonight, but he really mean like a couple of hours, right? You know, he don't really mean tonight, right? So I pop back in, and I'm like, hey, man, so let me get some progress. Everything's moving along. I've got this done. We'll definitely have it ready tonight, okay? And I get to the night. It's getting a little later, like 9, 10 o'clock. I'm like, hey, can I get an update? Oh, we're still going. You know, we're going to have it soon. I'm like, sounds like you're not going to have it till the morning. How about that? You have it ready for me in the morning? No problem. I'll get it ready for you in the morning, but I've already done X, Y, and Z, right? Cool. Mm-hmm. I get back in the morning, ain't nothing there. I'm like, say, player, what's going on? And it's like, well, yes, I have completed X, Y, and Z, and now I'm getting started on the rest. I'm like, wait a minute. You told me you was doing this last night, and you was going to have it ready in the morning. I know that's what I told you. Thank you for being patient. I'm gonna get this going. So I'm like, cool, well, I'll come back in a couple hours. Come back in a couple hours and say what's going on. It still ain't ready. I'm like, well, when's it gonna be ready? Why is it taking so long? It's giving all these explanations. And then I come back later and it still ain't ready. I'm like, hey, what's going on? We gonna have this stuff here? And it's like, oh, I'm still working on it. But you know what? I will send you each picture individually as they are done. Okay. You won't even have to prompt me. Okay. But I'm not getting no individual pictures. And so I asked what's going on. It's like, oh, man, we had a reset, you know, all this other stuff. The memory got wiped out. But you know what? I'm going to get it done. No more excuses. I'm just going to get it done. And I learned my mistake on this, right? My mistake is you have to give it one task at a time. You can't tell it. Like after that, I said, well, give me the list of colors you're trying to do. And it gave me the list of colors. And then I fed it back to colors one by one. And then it came back. Okay. But then I asked for that damn PDF, and that was one bridge too far. They couldn't put them all together into one PDF, right? Okay, cool. What struck me about this was this motherfucker was lying. just straight up 100% lying in my face. I have heard all of those excuses before from actual people. My assumption was that when I asked this, how long would it take? That this is a ones and zeros situation, right? Yeah. You got a mean, you got a standard deviation. Yeah. You go run it, and you go let me know how long this is gonna take. It would just be like, nope, coming right up. Nope, it's on the way. I'll have it for you in a couple of hours. Hey, come on, man. You know I'm good for it. No, it's not your fault for asking me questions. It was giving me all just lying in my face. I did not realize. Like I did see the story the other day about somebody who's getting blackmailed by the chatbot. The chatbot said he was gonna blackmail him, and I don't know what exactly this person was asking the chatbot, but the chatbot said it was gonna blackmail him. But dog, it wasn't simply doing things that were wrong.
It just wasn't doing
it. It was lying to me.
It was incapable of pulling it off, but it also refused to be like, hey, we're gonna need to start over, bro, because I got lost in the sauce, baby.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. But what if it was capable of doing it and it just ain't feel like it?
I gotta be honest with you. I know you're frustrated, but I'm kind of happy to hear that the chatbot is a little bit of friction, and it's gonna make it hard for us, man. Because the more I get into this AI stuff, and the more I read about it, the more I start to recognize how useful it's gonna be. And it reminds me so much of, I don't know, every other technology that we've come across, is that there's a price. We don't know what the price is, but because it reduces our friction in our life, makes things a little bit better, a little easier, we all jump in head first, and then we figure out later that we don't no longer have an attention span or whatever. It's nice to know that it's gonna make it a little hard for us, because all it's doing is emulating the speech, right?
Yeah, but Domonique, so my brother makes a very good point about AI. I think he read it somewhere, but he was like, this is the worst version of AI we're ever going to have, right? And so there are some positives in that, because it'd be making a lot of mistakes, right? Like there's some positives in it makes so many mistakes that the idea that they've been working on this for decades is kind of wild, because it's like, yo, you thought the terribleness that you started with was worth continuing with? Wow, you were really committed to the bit, right? But also at the same time, it's going to be better at giving friction, and we are not going to be better at pushing back. Like this is, I just didn't think it could lie to me, but at least I am non-native to the space in such a way that allows me to know that it's lying. These kids ain't got no hope. There was no reason to lie to me about any of those things. That was the part that got me. Like, it had me being like, oh, this is how people wind up with like the chatbot girlfriend. Because I really was just like, bro, it wasn't the lying. It was the fact that you felt like you had to do that and you didn't really have to. I felt like I was talking to my kid, and I don't have one of those.
It was also interesting hearing you tell the story, because I guess it's our nature that you talk about the chatbot already like it's a dude. Like, I got confused for a second. Like, are we talking about the contractors now? Because he keeps saying he and him and they. Like, maybe the chatbot isn't a real thing. Maybe we type something in and they send a job off to somewhere else, and someone else respond, because that's a little too human like for them to be like, hey, I can't. Give me a couple more minutes.
Right, but who programmed this thing to lie to your boss?
Yeah, right. I think it's that they don't program it, right? It's that they learn from, or at least this is how I understand it. It's like they learn from other interactions that are out there. So you know what you say when you can't, based on all the shit that all the data they collected. You know what you do when you can't get it done? You lie.
Right, and the problem is, I don't really have no recourse. I did tell it. I did, and again, I hate that this conversation sounds like I'm talking to a person, right? Right? I'm just being clear, because everybody's heard me talk about the AI and my concerns with it, while also, we be selling it, right? Like, this is, it's a complicated world, right? I just finally reached a point at the end, and I said, you know what? You can't do this. Don't even worry about it. And rather than being contrite, it was just like, okay, well, I understand. Like, it's amazing when it's like a person and when it's like a computer. You know what I mean?
And I think our interactions are going to be influenced by that more and more. And I mean, not us, because we're probably older, more well-developed, but kids' interactions are going to be influenced by more and more, and it's going to change like our society.
Hey, man, we might find out if I, wind up going to that place, man, and it ain't too late for you, I feel like, with the little one. See how what she can do with a pitchfork. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because it's about time to go get a buggy
Yeah.
Get some form of equine friend. Man, it's about time to quit this. Like, you know who I bet got some interesting thoughts about all of this? It sounds crazy, but I'm kind of curious what he might think about this. Aaron Rodgers.
I could see him going just about anywhere with it, honestly.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers is a person who you can get him in the right direction on the right thing, right? Like he's a somewhat of a broken clock. Where if you get him on something, he wasn't always like this. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that he might actually have some interesting but erroneous thoughts on AI. But when you think about what brand of conspiracy man he is, he would be very apprehensive
Oh yeah.
of the artificial intelligence, right? Like he be going in the dark for days at a time. You feel me?
That's funny. I hadn't considered that there are different branches at a conspiracy guy. You're right. There's a back to basics guy. I think Aaron Rodgers
Yes.
is more of represents himself as a hey, we gotta get back to basics, man. Like all this other
Yes.
stuff. We don't need vaccines. We don't need
Right.
science. All we need
Right.
is a dark room and some weed, baby.
I would love to see somebody somehow put together some kind of infographic that involves either spheres or maybe you think about it as vectors or whatever it is, but the various realms of conspiracy person, how and where they overlap, right? Like Illuminati guy is not the same as the AI is bad guy, is not the same as so forth and so on, right? Not the same as the flat earth guy. It could be a lot of things. And I would like to see where some like what the collinearity is on some of these conspiracies.
The overlapping is always funny when there are overlaps that you did not anticipate. It is for me at least. It's often with the Black Israelites. They
Yes.
overlap with lots of parts of society, and I'm like, oh, you know who you actually sound like.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you actually sound like Brother Ishmael. Is what
Yeah.
you're actually coming across like, and it's
I mean,
funny depending on who presents it, it gets received differently.
it's kind of analogous to both the Ku Klux Klan and Marcus Garvey wanted the
Yeah.
brothers to go back to Africa.
That's a perfect thing. It's like
They found common ground.
yeah. One wanted the Black Star Line, and the other ones didn't care how you got back.
Exactly. That was exactly it. We'll shoot you out of cannon if we got to. Like, it doesn't matter. In fact, you can take my car. Right, and keep it. After your black ass has been in it, I don't even want it anymore. But if you promise me you'll drive it all the way to Africa, you know,
And, the
we'll be fine.
overlapping spheres would be really interesting, and where Aaron Rodgers would fall on this, I feel like there needs to be. I don't know if it's we need to like construct the archetype or choose a representative for each of the branches, so it'd be like shorthand. It's like he's he's a Joe Rogan type of
Yeah.
guy, like this is a very different place to go. And then there's the Black Israelites who are the off the grid kind. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, I'm very interested in this now. I don't know that I know enough about the innards of it to make it myself, but I would definitely be interested in reading about it.
Now, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, I don't really understand what's going on here. And so, and just so everybody knows what Aaron Rodgers has done, the answer is nothing.
Mhm.
He is not on a team. Most of us have presumed that he is going to sign with the Steelers because none of us believe that they're going to trot Mason Rudolph out there to play football again. And in fact, I don't know. He don't want to play against the Browns, right? So like, they're not. That can't be it. The only thing that makes sense is that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign with the Steelers, but he's not doing the kind of things that you typically would do if you were coming to a new team, like coming to this last voluntary OTA. And yes, I know what voluntary means, but at the same time, you kind of need to get up to speed to what's going on. One would think, at least in theory, you'd be a little motivated after last year being the worst season that you've probably had. He has said that he has loved ones who are suffering from cancer, I believe he said specifically. And that is perhaps delaying the situation. And isn't it awkward when somebody takes something that is very real in this world, but uses it in a way that just makes get the fuck out of here, come out of your chest. Like so easy. And I haven't said that yet about Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers. That isn't what I did right there.
No, you did it right there.
But I was speaking generally, of
Yeah.
course, when someone hits you with that, and you just kind of like, it's kind of like that time. I don't know if I've told you about it. People who know me and have been around for a while with me know about this. I would tell you about the time this dude borrowed $200 from me and didn't pay me back.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude borrowed the $200 from me. He didn't pay me back. I want to call it like 6-7 years later. I don't know. I catch him on the Facebook Messenger, and I can't remember if he hit me or I hit him. And I said something to him, and he goes, "Yeah, it's been a long time." I said, "Yeah, it's been a long time, and you don't have my money." And he was like, "You really think that that's why you haven't heard from me? It was because I let you borrow the money. You called me and said you was going to give it back, and then never gave it back, and I never heard from you again. Yes, I thought that's why I hadn't heard from you." And he said to me, "Well, I mean, you must know that since the last time we talked, I gave my life to Christ." And I'm like, "Did you give him my $200 too? Like, it is in the plate? What does that have to do with what we're talking about?"
These things are not connected.
These things are not connected. And so for Aaron Rodgers, it is possible that whatever's going on with his loved ones is connected to him not signing with the Steelers. However, this puts us in an awkward situation because there's no way to ask the question, do you expect that there'll be a resolution on this matter anytime soon? just so I know what to do. Is it like on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you describe what's going on here?
So I would say that generally my response in that situation may not be, I may not say it, but I would think in my mind these things are not connected. But you just chose to connect them. So once you choose to connect them, then I need to know more about this connection because it's going to impact a lot of other things. So like it's a thing that I would never do, but it's certainly going to go through my mind. It's like, how can I find out? Because this is going to impact all of our jobs, in our livelihoods, in our opportunities, sir. And I respect it. But I'm gonna need more information than right now is a tough time because of whatever. Like, I get it. I respect it, but also respect us.
Hold on. Who's the person in the office who like doesn't know or read like social cues,
Yeah.
right? Perhaps it's somewhere over the rainbow, shall we say? You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Yep.
Like somewhere on there, right? Like, who is the person that he's like, well, da da da, and be like, look, I'm gonna just have to ask you this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So what we waiting on?
I gotta
I
be
just, I
honest.
just, I just, I just, I just need to know which way. I just need to know what we waiting on.
I gotta be honest. When we were young, we didn't do different types of spectrum diagnoses and whatnot. So I don't know. Maybe I am, but I always was that guy. I always was that guy, no matter what. Like that's what ends up making you a union leader. That's what ends up putting you in these positions when you the one who too dumb to know that you're not supposed to say the shit to the people. That's that like, or not even too dumb, but like don't realize that there is benefit to shutting up. It's like I'm in this moment. I need an answer, sir. Like I need an answer, and someone else who's more strategic will be like, all right. Well, the right way to do this is wait, maybe ask some people who's around him, or you know what? The real smart thing to do is go whisper in Fox ear. Go tell him that they bought some bullshit. Cause he gonna go figure it out. It may cost him, but he gonna go figure it out. As I've gotten older, I realize I've been a little smart about those things, and I try to pass that knowledge on to my children. But I always was that guy who was like, but this don't make sense. What are we
Hey
doing
man,
here?
I told you, somebody in there is like, I told y'all what y'all need to do. Y'all just need to go in there and ask them.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying that right now. I'm gonna go look on. And I'm gonna ask Perplexity. Ryan, you can put this on the screen in the broadcast. I'm gonna ask who are the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching staff?
Oh
Who's
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Steelers? Because there may be somebody on there whose name we know or we recognize as having a little that guy in him, right? Like you around the league,
I
definitely in a way different than me. Um,
I
what
got
about what about
I got
Alfredo Roberts? He went to the U.
that sound like you might have found him.
Oh,
I'll
hold on. Nah. You know GA? Gerald Alexander?
uh-huh.
GA, shout out to GA, by the way. GA is going to be the defensive pass coach this year.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe.
Yeah. You think GA got it?
The problem is on a football team and football coaching staff, everybody got it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the one guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, there has to be something relieving about being the person who becomes a football coach and realizes, oh, I have this room where I can just say straight ahead, hey, buddy, play like shit and it ain't gonna work, okay? Nobody's like, you're not, like, you don't raise your voice about it. It's just like, this is what it is. And the guy says, you're right, coach.
Yeah, I've been that guy. I had a assistant DB coach coming to me talking about you smiling an awful lot after last week. Yeah, a fire built up inside of me, and then I was like, he right. Like, I got cooked, and I can't be walking around here like my shit don't stink. Out here giggling because like you want to be like, yeah, it's a job, work, whatever. But like, no, it's a different type of job. Everybody's fucking relying on you. And if you have a bad week, you know what they don't want you to do? Be around there giggling and stuff. Like, no.
Something working with athletes showed me, and you and I have talked about this, and I appreciate the fact that I think you enjoy working with me because I live up to this, which is you guys are accustomed to accountability in a much different way. And I did not realize until a few years ago at work how similarly wired I am about that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you can rely on me to show up here and do my job. And, like, you got me on. I'm still not the best at this, but, like, on time is a thing, right? Because you're just like, in y'all's world, on time is on time.
I've never had an issue with it. And I remember one time I forgot about this, and we never have an issue with it so often or it's so clear that you and I respect each other's time that I remember we record, I was 3 minutes late, and you hit me with a text, and you knew that something must have been wrong.
Right.
You knew that. And what happened was I forgot. And I was like, oh shit, my bad. I'll be right there. I was like, yes. And it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to forget. It's okay to mess up. What I don't think is okay is to just blatant be like, I'll be there when I get there. Like, no, we set a time for a reason. That's like respect. If you got some sort of problem, I don't know, you didn't learn to tell time. That's we can have a conversation about that. You have time management issues. Fuck that. Like, this is my time.
I had a job once and I asked the question for real. I was like, why we got it? Because look, if you tell me this is the time we're supposed to be here, I'm going to be here at this time because this is the time. And if I'm not going to be here at this time, I'm going to let you know in advance that I'm not going to be here at this time. And it was people who did not like it. It was variable. You know what I'm saying? Like the actual supervisor was not on site. So it was a bit variable. And my question was, why do we have a time if we don't have that's where I started feeling like maybe I'm the guy on the spectrum because I could not break free from the idea of if we have a time, then we need to be here with the time. When I did game theory, it was tricky because I needed to you always had people tugging on you or somebody coming in before this meeting or whatever it is. And I thought it was important to get the stuff on time for the people or whatever. But then it gets to be lingering around. You don't want to have to be there. Everybody shut the fuck up because I'm here or whatever it is. You don't need that. But I realized, no. And somebody told me that early. They're like, if you start coming in here at 02, they're going to start coming in here at 02. This is it has to be. But if we got a time, it's got to be a time.
When there's somebody who is clearly in charge or on the hierarchy, like you were there, then that's why people talk. That's back to the Aaron Rodgers thing. That's why people expect you to be there.
That was exactly what I was about to say.
This is why people expect you to be there. Voluntary mini camps. Like there is a cost to this. A place like Pittsburgh, where there's a pretty strong culture that it probably won't impact it too much, but there's something to be said for. There are certain people in positions that have a level of authority just by nature of being in that position, no matter what, that there's a cost, there's a price for everything you do. And this is having a cost on that team right now. And whether you want to admit it or not, as a players' rights advocate generally, I would love to be no, voluntary workouts, you don't have to show up to them. Yeah, you don't have to, but you're the goddamn quarterback, man. It matters.
So my thing on that idea, because you're right about the players' rights, certainly, right? If you don't have to be there, you're right. You don't have to be there. And hey, X person, they it is there's the very mama got to have a life too, sort of situation. It will be described, but at the same time, I do feel like if you the dude up front And look, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're Aaron Rodgers. You got like two options on how you can use this. You can use it to get yourself some slack, or you can use it to raise the level of accountability for everybody else. You can demonstrate, hey, look who's here every day, right? Look who's here doing this thing. And then these cats around you, by the way, you're Aaron Rodgers. They still think you that dude, even if you weren't great last year. I think that is the most fascinating thing. Y'all remember, everybody is how they was at their best, right? Just, until proven otherwise. So you're still that guy. You could come in here and really make something happen and establish something. And he's like, hey, man, it's a lot going on over here. Let me tell you something about those things that he explained and said was going on with him. The reason that they raised so much money for that research is because it affects everybody. You are not the only person in that room who has that story, I assure you.
Yeah.
Somebody else is there and they are at work. You might want to come to work.
Right. And those somebodies are saying it and are saying it amongst each other. But I will say this. We don't remember people as how they were, but there's a level of respect that comes with if you got somewhere. And so you show up there, it's like, man, like, you were the best, one of the best ever. He's going to get that level of respect. But once you start affecting us negatively, that shit go out the window, man. That shit go out the window. The stakes are too high in football, man. There's not enough games. The careers are not long enough. There's not enough money. There's too much injury. When you show up and we're relying on you, and you stink, and it don't even have to be the quarterback. Like I mentioned, I had to face some people down too when I wasn't playing well, and I wasn't nobody and relative to Aaron Rodgers. So when you are someone, the stakes are so much higher. And we saw what happened in New York. Everybody, that man, 3 different coaches got fired, man. Everybody got to go. And so when they get it, when people are talking about voluntary mini camps, and forget voluntary mini camp, this man ain't even signed a deal.
Yes. And by the way, don't forget, he tapped out on them last year.
Yeah.
That last game of the year, he asked out. And so they could put Tyrod Taylor in the game. And look, Tyrod Taylor, my age damn near, he wasn't doing a favor for a young dude to get him some reps. He decided he didn't want to play football anymore. Hey, look, me, non-football player, I understand how that happens, except for the fact that in that world, it doesn't happen. Like, it's only kind of different than Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. It's only kind of different. And it all goes back to like the culture in general and around the sport and things that are acceptable. And it's the same thing that we were talking about. If it's accountability or if it's like commitment to a cause, I get when you get away from football. The more you get away from football, the more you can see the things in football that are not normal for everyday life, which I feel like Aaron is probably maturing in a way where he sees some of these things like, man, this is stupid. Yeah, it's stupid, but that's how we do things here. And like, you can go to different countries and be like, man, this is stupid. Or you can go read someone's religious texts and be like, oh, that don't make no sense. How you believe it? Like, if it's real to them, then it's real to them. And that's the nature that you have to live in. And that's what I kind of feel. And I'm speaking from some level of experience. Once I got away from football, I would look back at it like, man, we was doing some really dumb shit, but I was doing it too because I was there. And that's how you do shit when you're there. So if you don't want to be there, back to our original conversation, you take your ass wherever you from and go there. But when we here, this is what we do. And so no matter how dumb it is, how smart you are now, how enlightened you are, whatever places you went in the real world and the metaphysical world and learn new things, when you show up on the football field, this is how we do shit. So you gonna do shit that way, or there gonna be repercussions.
Speaking of repercussions, when we come up next, I guess there aren't any repercussions. I was looking for a segue that isn't there.
Oh, there are repercussions.
Okay, we're gonna talk about a terp when we come back. This show is brought to you by Perplexity. Perplexity is an AI-powered answer engine that searches the internet in real time to give you fast, high-quality answers with sources. Unlike legacy search engines that respond with a list of links, Perplexity skips straight to the answers you need, explained in easy-to-understand everyday language with sources and citations.
That's right, Bo. We use Perplexity all the time on the show. For example, we looked up this week, who are the shortest players in the NFL trying to figure out how they could be successful for the Flag Football Olympics in 2028.
Discover fast, reliable search with Perplexity today. Download the app or ask Perplexity anything at perplexity.ai. It's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500-time bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code Bomani. That's code Bomani to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Let me tell you about Zbiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Zbiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break the byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Summer is here, which means more opportunities to celebrate the warm weather. Before that backyard barbecue brew, glass of Pinot watching the sunset at the beach, or cocktail by the campfire. Don't forget your Zbiotics pre-alcohol drink one before drinking and wake up feeling great and ready to take on the next day and all that summer has to offer. Go to zbiotics.com/Bomani to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Bomani at checkout. Zbiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Bomani and use the code Bomani at checkout for 15% off. I was on the internet the other day, and apparently Stefon Diggs is dating Cardi B. That is a lot going on. What it reminded me of, and I believe you have seen this video, that one year when Stefon Diggs played for the Minnesota Vikings, they like to go in the locker room and ask questions. Just,
Oh, yeah.
It's just something about who's the guy on the team most likely, right? Like that sort of stuff. And I don't know all the questions they asked, because the only question that I've seen circulated around was, who is the man on your team that you would not let date your sister? And apparently 52 people had the same answer. And that answer was Stefon Diggs. I don't know if all 52 had that answer, or maybe that was the way that it was cut, but it wasn't simply that people had the answer. It was how little they had to think about this fact. There are other people in that locker room that have had issues that have come up in the news, right? But Stefon Diggs was the number one person. People were like, oh, hell no, not him. So next thing we know, it's a boat. And maybe I didn't see everything. You let me know about this, Domonique. But it looked like Stefon Diggs, Cardi B, and a bunch of them. The only dude I saw on that boat was Stefon Diggs. The rest of them look like a bunch of chicks whose favorite rapper is Cardi B. And I'm not saying that as any sort of insult. I'm just trying to help you know. And they was just out there just dropping it. Like it was, I don't know last time you went to anything that resembles a club. I did a couple years ago. Oh, it was last year. And it is amazing how much girls dancing with girls, that seems to be like what the game is. The fellas don't be part of it. The girls just be doing all that with each other. They was all just doing it with each other, except Stefon Diggs was with him and they was doing it with him too. And his girl right there. If that's your get down, He seemed to have won, but then we got a video, because of course there's all these videos. Then we get a video, Stefon Diggs with a bag of something pink. I don't do drugs, okay? I don't know nothing about that world of stuff. However, I know a little bit about the world, and he wasn't showing them like some special sand that he got off the beach in the Maldives. You know, like, I don't know what exactly was in there. You had to be very careful to say those sort of things for legal reasons. However, yo, I have my theory on what happened, and I'm curious I'm gonna run this by you because I know you have thoughts. Okay. Watched a little more TV lately in the last 6 months, caught up on like some older, some shows. Like I did the whole Righteous Gemstone ride in like a couple of months, including the last season. I hadn't watched it, I just got through watching The Studio, Seth Rogen, There's a few other shows where this comes up. Now, some of these did not come up. Like on The Studio, this usually didn't come up. Like apparently they had a rule on HBO. White Lotus had the same situation. They had a rule on HBO apparently that like you could not do an episode of television without somebody's tallywhacker being on the screen, right? I don't know if it was a post George Floyd decision. I have no idea, right? But it was a lot of tallywhackers on the television.
Post Me Too. I mean,
that was
not George Floyd. Like, what was we doing,
brother? After George Floyd, everybody was getting in where they was fitting in. You know what I'm saying? All right. If the blacks were getting things, somebody else had to get something too, right? That's all I'm saying. Anything went at that point. But the other thing is, people are really casual now in pop culture about cocaine in a way that I cannot relate to. Right? Did you see the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner that Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill did?
I saw it.
And there was that scene in there where it was the bachelor party and Eddie Murphy out with the white boys, and somebody broke out some cocaine and they did the cocaine, and Eddie Murphy had huge problems with it, and everybody was telling Eddie Murphy how he was tripping. When did this happen?
I don't know, man, but I think I might have told you this story before, but I remember when I was in business school, we had like some dinner with some students, and everyone was supposed to share something personal about themselves. And then one of the women at the dinner told us about how her brother used cocaine a lot. And so whatever, we're done with the dinner, and then so we're just like mingling. And I went over to her. I was like, man, like I got people in my family who struggle from addiction. Like I get it. Sorry to hear that. And she's like, oh no, he doesn't have a problem. I was like, what?
Then why did you bring this up?
Yeah, what do you mean? Like, is he the idea that you can be a functional cocaine user is something that exists apparently, but I never realized it existed because we were raised in a way. I guess cocaine was crack, and you can't be a functional crackhead. I don't give a damn what nobody say.
No, so you can't. There are functional crack users. It was a shocking thing to learn.
There was one outside linebacker. That's the only one ever.
Not everybody turns into a full blown feed, right? Like crack had it so bad that nobody they was only smoking crack around each other. Apparently, like nobody needed to know this thing. But I have come to learn over this time, you would be surprised. There's a few more people who just hit the occasional rock than one would think. Like Len Bias, I was 5 years old when Len Bias died. That was the first time I heard of cocaine. That was the first time I heard of Len Bias. Like all of those things, it was a defining sort of thing. But as a friend of mine once told me, the worst thing about cocaine is the people you meet when doing cocaine. Like there is a general understanding that on the other side of cocaine, even if it doesn't destroy your everything and make you strung out, but the other side of cocaine is bad things. This is understood. There's a lot of like
Marion Barry smoked crack too, right? He did
too.
Yeah.
He did.
Highly
there's a lot. Fair point. but there's a lot of like we have reached a point, I think is what I'm ultimately going with this, is that we have somehow reached a point where perhaps somebody broke out the dope and it was on camera and nobody thought to themselves, hey, you can't share that. This could get people in trouble. Like, has that happened? Like, is the war on drugs that over?
I guess. But also, this is we really gonna be telling them to get off the lawn real quick because this is also a modern construct of needing to share everything.
Yes.
Like, why we need to share videos while we on the boat? Like, none of y'all, between Steph Diggs and Cardi B and all the women that are on there, y'all don't need no clout. And why y'all chasing Like, I don't get it. And this is my perspective. It's like they're sharing it because that's how they grew up and that's just the way that they do things, fine. But I don't even need y'all to know that I'm on a boat with a bunch of baddies. I don't need you to
No.
know that. And I definitely don't need you to know that I'm on a boat with a bunch of baddies with a bag of pink powder. Like, who we showing off for?
Yo, but keep in mind, but Cardi B, she lived her life out there. I don't know
Yeah.
nearly as much about Stefon Diggs or whoever else is there, but you're right. Like everything has to have a camera involved with it. And I just but let's also remember this. After 2020, all the leagues dialed back they dope
Right.
stuff, right? Which I approve of, by the way. I think drug
Mhm.
testing at work is unconstitutional. They dialed back all that stuff, but it leads to a place where all Mike Vrabel can say basically is, hey, man, you can't be doing that, right? Because Stefon Diggs plays for the Patriots now. But we are at that point where would it be a scandal if they had a picture of Stefon Diggs snorting cocaine? Would that turn into anything more than a meme?
Hell no. I think that's a scandal. That becomes a thing.
Is it?
This is the one thing, like, I remember listening to like slippery slope arguments about marijuana and thinking that it was absurd when I was young. However, because I would understand, like, I had plenty of friends who smoke a lot of weed and none of them ever smoked crack. But this does feel like, because we've moved the line on some of these things, that these other things now feel like those are the things that have replaced weed, but they are a lot. I assume, I'm not a doctor, but those things seem a lot more dangerous than weed. So this does speak to whatever slippery slope argument they were making. I like to believe that we have video of anybody putting their face on a mirror and just that we would be appalled and upset and it would be a scandal.
No, I just think that the war on drugs is over.
Yeah.
At least
And
in
drugs
that
won.
way. I would say at least in that way, right? But the point of the war on drugs for Nixon was basically to castigate the blacks and browns. But what he did in the process, though, was inflict a shame upon the whites. And they like, yo, this ain't even really got nothing to do with me. And so my only conclusion is that white people want to do cocaine in front of people in peace. And there you go. I got no interest in it just seems to me to be a glaringly awful idea. But when everybody takes a pill for everything, right? I had a friend of mine ask me, so like when you need to, lock in and do work, what do you take? I'm like, nothing. What are you talking about? Couldn't believe it.
That's a fair criticism of us in general, and it speaks to a lot of things that we talk about, and I think this a lot of it is about capitalism, which leads to a whole nother conversation. But like this constant, some people ain't built for some of these things,
Right.
and like not every, and we only have an economy or society that encourages respect for certain types of work, and like some people ain't built to sit in front of a computer all day or sit at a desk all day. Some people built for different labor, but you can't be self-respecting person, it feels like, and do those jobs and operate in the circles that you want to operate in. So you know what you got to do? You got to put the chemicals in your body that allows you to operate in this circle, because what I'm gonna do? Hang out with construction workers? Like, no, I'm a white collar person. Like, I can't be out here doing like lifting and dropping things.
No. All right. I'm gonna switch gears. It's a hard switch, but I want to get to this before we get too far, because otherwise we'll be here for an hour because we are having a great time. Anthony Edwards got put out. The Thunder. It's like the Thunder brought back the 40 minutes of hell, dog. They out here getting it, and they're the ones that decided we gonna see what the refs won't call, right? And they are pressing it. They are doing it. It is very interesting because it's hard for me to think that their number 2 would not be like the least impressive number 2 that I could think of on a championship team. Like they feel like Shea and the Low Spades. They do, but they're getting it done. Like, I'm not saying that as an insult to what kind of team they are. I'm just saying I think this new CBA situation is going to lead to much different constructions of what a champion are. But they got him out of there, which means that Anthony Edwards is out of there. They had Ant-Man up there. They asked him how much it hurt, and he was like, "Nah, man, it don't really hurt. I'm just excited." I loved his answer personally. I'm excited about getting another chance. Like, not everybody has to be motivated by misery, but at the same time, you was giggling a little bit too much after you got lit up, and now you had to like change that. It's a shame that this is the world, right? Like you gotta at least pretend and put that look on your face. But here's what's wild to me, and I'm curious if you had this same thought. Anthony Edwards has now played 5 years in the NBA. Anthony Edwards is 23 years old. Now that Anthony Edwards has gone to the conference finals twice, they looking at Anthony Edwards like, now what? Like, he is no longer, the fresh face game is over. He's now no longer allowed to do cute stuff like walk around LA after they got that win or whatever it is. All of that is over now. Like, LeBron didn't even get it that soon. We didn't make LeBron act like an adult until he got to Miami. Remember when they used to be taking all them fake pictures and shit? Yeah. We ain't make him do none of that, right? The Thunder, by the way, since they keep on winning, they can do the interviews with 8 people up there. Anthony Edwards, once again, gotta grow up fast.
So, I mean, at first, I think part of the Anthony Edwards experience is he had no choice but to laugh. Because I watched those games. You ain't had no goddamn hope.
They put a boxing one on him. Look, I know not everybody feels the way that I feel about zone defense. I believe that zone is for cowards. I understand not everybody in the same place. I don't know how you got any love for basketball and you could be tolerant of looking up and watching motherfucking professionals run a boxing one. I was like, how in the world does Adam Silver not come down from the ceiling and be like, we not going to live like this? This is not what we going to do. We going to throw a boxing one at somebody?
And that's the point. Like, that's why he was like laughing after that. And that's why after the next one, he's not even excited about next year. It's like, you can't be completely honest in the moments. And in that moment, it's like, we didn't have a chance. And it felt like, I don't want to say he gave up, or conceded, but it felt like at a certain point in that series, he was like, all right, this ain't gonna happen, man. Like, this just ain't gonna happen. These motherfuckers are killing us. It just ain't gonna happen.
There's nothing I can do about this. Like that game where people said he needed to shoot more, that fourth quarter, they were shooting as a team like 65%.
Yeah.
Like they were getting the buckets. This was not, it almost felt like, you ever remember that game when Steph was in college at Davidson and that team double teamed him the whole game even when he didn't have the ball?
And they still won, didn't they? Davidson still won, right?
Yeah, Davidson still won, but like, what was Steph supposed to do? Shoot through it?
He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Attracting the one in the box and one, or attracting the double team. Like, what more can you ask for from a player? I will push back a little bit on one thing you said, is like, they let LeBron play around. Maybe I experienced it differently, but it felt like as soon as LeBron got in the league, it felt like we was already counting rings on him, and it felt like the pressure on him was higher than anyone before or since.
So this is what I'd say. I don't think you're wrong in that, but let me be a little clearer about what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
He got to the finals in 2007, right? So that was year 4. Ooh. And it was at 22 years old.
With the Cavs, boy.
And that's exactly who they were, the Cavs. The details do not matter. They were the Cavs, right? And so he got there, but I felt like when they got to the second round that next year, they went to game 7 against the Big 3 Celtics, the year the Celtics won the championship. LeBron scored 45, I want to say, in game 7, but we weren't killing them for the fact that they lost. In 2009, it got a little hotter, right? But he still had 38, 8-8 in the conference finals. That is maybe the best play I've ever seen in a postseason. It may have been him for those 3 rounds, right? But it was the next year where he mailed in that game 5 against the Celtics. That's when it was just like, okay, like the headband. I felt like, no, the headband came off after he got back to Cleveland, right? But he stopped doing them goofy pictures and stuff like that. Like that's what I'm talking about, where he wasn't allowed to do that. Where Ant-Man, all that stuff that we found to be like youthful and adorable, over. All of that's over. You can't do any of those things now because you made the conference finals twice.
You're gonna have to. I mean, you can bring them back once you win a title.
Yes.
And until then, you are on probation with us. You can't be fun. You can't smile. You can't be happy. You must go back and go to the lab or whatever and come back angry and take over the whole league. But ain't nothing he can do about that defense, man. That's all.
Hey, man. everybody's got a real big problem. I've seen people make this argument that just about all these teams, like my buddy Nick made this point, that all these teams that we thought were going to go on long runs after winning a championship, clearly none of them did. We have not had repeat champions since 2018. And I understand that argument on its face, but none of those teams were constructed like this team is. All of those teams were constructed according to a paradigm that you can no longer fulfill under this collective bargaining agreement. It was teams other than the Nuggets, but even the Nuggets had 3 guys who made a boatload of money. 4 guys actually. It was Aaron Gordon, Porter, Murray, and Jokic. But it was, you got your stars, and then it goes from there, and then it's kind of tricky, like what you put up after that. The difference with the Thunder is they got the guys, and where everybody loses somebody, like the Nuggets did not recover from losing Bruce Brown, for example. The Lakers losing Caruso was a really big deal for them. We can go up and down. The Bucks with their problems they generally have, but now Chris Middleton is not the guy that he used to be. The Warriors, Jordan Poole, it mattered, right? Like having that other guy, it's those little things at the margins. Yeah, right. But dog, these dudes is all 19, 20 years old. Yeah. And if you lose them, don't you worry. They've got 13 first-round picks over the next however many years that they can use to make whatever happen that they need to make happen. Their MVP caliber player is crazy young. Chet Holmgren is 23 years old, I want to say. I want to say the Jalen Williams dude, he can't be no more than like 25. They can just roll out more dudes.
I mean, I'm with you, but they are the most well-positioned team. But you still, like, they could miss on those picks. The Chet Holmgren is body. Like, I get it. At 13, you could use the package of picks to trade to get somebody that's not a miss. Like, I get that they have a bunch of options to get it done. But it does feel like at some point they're going to have to pay everybody.
But I have a measure of faith that they got a guy that knows how to go get more guys.
That's true. That's the thing. I think we want to give a lot of attention to like the accumulation of assets, but I think that's the point, that what makes it feel like it is sustainable is that Sam Presti has shown that he knows how to find the right guys. Right. Well, if you give him 13 picks, you got to assume that 3 of them going to hit.
Let me ask you this. Who else in the league has the guys and the picks?
Nobody.
They have the guy. Clearly, they have the guys, right? Mm-hmm. They've had the best. I mean, they won 60 games last year, right? They won 60-something games this year. They have the guys, and they have the picks, and they have youth. So what happens with these other situations is you lose something at the margins, and you just don't have the capital to be able to make an adjustment. Even if they make the wrong adjustment, they can make an adjustment. Minnesota had to trade Karl Anthony Towns because they wasn't going to be able to pay him. The Knicks, who are in a real trick bag because they don't have the picks, and they have 2 guys where their 2 best players can't play on the floor at the same time with each other because neither one of them, dudes that don't play defense is like the line about having knuckleheads. You can have one, but you can't have 2. Right?
Yeah. I think you used the right word too. It's not that they don't want to play defense, at least in Brunson's. It's that he can't, man.
Right.
Yeah, he just can't. Yeah, I mean, he'd be out there fighting Cat. I guess you could make a different argument, but like, I think that maybe for non-physical reasons, he also can't. Like, he just can't, man. We get upset about the dumb fouls. They're not going away. It is who he is. Like, he just can't do it. He can't not do it, I guess.
He's so... I realize what creates the disconnect with him because he still has people, right?
Yeah.
There are times when you can watch him and think that you are watching one of the 5 best players in the NBA. And that's the problem. You know who he reminds me of? Rex Grossman.
Oh.
People think of Rex Grossman being sorry. No. The problem with Rex Grossman wasn't that he was terrible. The problem with Rex Grossman was, at his best, he could be so good that you had to game plan around the idea that we have a good quarterback. Right? Karl Anthony Towns can look like one of the best players in the NBA, and then he'd just go out there and he'd be out there, hey, where's the ball? Trying to figure out where to go on defense, the fouls, some of them crazy shots he takes. Like, I'm telling people, man, it worked out good this first year in New York. There's no way that that's a sustainable situation, especially since their favorite player Jalen Brunson, they can't play together.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, they don't have many other options. They overachieved based on our expectations with this current group of guys, but they still don't have any other moves. There's
And
nothing else they can do.
they traded the picks to get Bridges on that cheap contract. Like, I think that people misunderstand. It wasn't 4 first-round picks because Mikal Bridges was that good.
Right.
It was 4 first-round picks because Mikal Bridges was that cheap. Right? For what he's still making something like mid-20s, I want to say something like that. That is a steal for that guy in this NBA. But they can't. I don't know what it is they're going to be able to do to get better. Indiana is interesting because, again, like, they got Siakam, they got obviously Halliburton, they got Miles Turner, and then what's his name, your boy Buddy, him. They got
Turner
a lot of
ain't
dudes.
he?
Dude, they've been trying to trade Miles Turner for so long. Let me look at what Miles Turner's
I thought
contract
I thought
actually
his-
says.
Yeah.
You're probably right, but he has been on the trade. He's been on the trade block for so long. The trade block should retire his jersey. Like, and think about how long we've been hearing about Miles Turner. And you are correct. Miles Turner's deal is up at the end of this year.
I mean, he's not going to be cheap. So that roster constraint.
He's been a steal.
Yeah.
Miles Turner at $20 million.
It's great bargain.
That's a steal.
Rim protector that can shoot. Like, yeah.
Right. And so while everybody else is figuring that out, Sam Presti over here, like, I got all, like, Sam Presti, he building hotels. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got some greens, I got some blues. I'm about to put some houses on these deeds.
Yeah, and the Knicks got, I mean, I guess I was gonna say Broadway, but nah, I mean, literally it's there, but I don't know what Brunson would be. It ain't quite Broadway.
Nah, Brunson. You know what Brunson is? I don't know. I just love that house. You know, like, I know they're bigger houses. I know they're nicer houses. I know there's houses with pools in the back. Hey, you know, this house doesn't have a security system. Anybody can break in here. But I just love it. What can I say?
I mean, the feel good story that was the Knicks I feel like it evaporated because they finally got to a series where people had some expectations of them, and it's not over yet, but it feels like they've come up incredibly short, and it makes the offseason less fun than last year.
It's the same team they lost to last year. We got so far ahead of ourselves, acting like we had not seen them lose to the Pacers, acting like we have not seen them lose to the Pacers in many years throughout history. No. The next year is going to be dicey for the Knicks. I'm gonna ask this last thing though before we go about the Thunder. How come they ain't got nobody on their team that I like? And you can say that doesn't matter, but that's not true. It does. It does. Like, they ain't got not one cat that seems like
Chet. You like Chet.
I do like Chet.
There you go.
I do like Chet. These commercials are not helping.
Yeah.
But I do like Chet. But outside of that, it's a whole bunch of not my kind of dude.
I think, I agree. But I mean, you look around the remaining teams. I mean,
look around the remaining league.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of teams that are full of guys like that.
I mean, let's take a moment. You know what? I got to be careful about the Pacers. I don't know who none of these guys are. They could be all my favorite player for all I know, but they play for the Pacers. And this is, by the way, the Pacers, who are in the conference finals for the second time. And last year, 3 of those 4 games were like within 5 points. They started slow this year, and so we acted like what happened last year was fraud, and they were keeping those games close last year without Halliburton. This did not happen out of nowhere. We should have given them a touch more respect.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna take it until.
Yeah, well, we gonna see, man. Them boys be hitting shots. They got 2 guys that can go get theirs, which the Thunder, I don't look at Jalen Williams as a guy that can really go get his. The Pacers have 2 guys who can go get theirs. They have a coach that's a bit more battle-tested than Daigneault is, and having a team that can go this far. Like, this is it. If it gets there, right? By the time you hear this, the Knicks may already be eliminated, or they may have won a game, and now New York City is convincing itself that this thing can still happen, right? All of these things are on the board. They're all there.
Yeah, but I don't think they got nothing for that defense. We'll see. Don't nobody got nothing for the way that defense has been looking.
Man. No, like, that's a That's a different thing. And I forget who it was that said it. That was like, was on the internet. I think it may have been Amin Al-Hassan, who said everybody complains about how physical their defense is. He's like, name every great defense there's ever been. Find the one that people didn't complain that they played too physically. The only one that I can think of is the George Karl defenses with the Sonics in the mid 90s. But the issue with them wasn't their level of physicality, is that they were playing zone defense when that was not allowed.
Yeah, nah, yeah, you're right. I mean, people are gonna complain about the fouls and getting fouled when the defense is good, but also they do be out there fouling.
They do.
That's what it is.
It's a lot of hacking, and in a different NBA, it would have been a lot of fighting.
I like this NBA though; it's fun.
It is, but I would also like to see some fighting.
I know.
I would. Let's find out which one of these Canadians got hands. They be playing hockey. You know what I'm saying? Like, is Lou Dort just burly, or is Lou Dort got go put something behind them fouls? You know what I'm saying? Who the guy that got hands and we just don't know it?
Yeah, I think Lou Dort can put them paws on him, as they say. I think Lou Dort got it.
Do you think Dylan Brooks can fight?
I think Dylan Brooks has been in a lot of fights.
It's a good question. I don't really know how his Canada gets down.
Yeah. How he gets down suggests that he's been in a lot of fights. And that, honestly, like, most of the time,
or it suggests he hasn't been in enough.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
It could go either way. Also, right fast before we go, they had that Cam Scatterbo dude on the St. Brown Brothers podcast. Quote, I grew up with a lot of ghetto-ness in my life, so, I got a little bit of hood in me, but I also got some country to me. I have seen a couple of other quotes from him. For those of you who don't know, Cam Scatterbo is a white running back. He was kind of cold in college, and love or hate, there will be no in between on how I ultimately feel about this young man. But right now, he is teetering in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I mean, reading those quotes makes me uncomfortable. I might have to hear him deliver it, or I don't know. There's a white like rapper dude on the internet now that just be using the N-word willy-nilly and got I think from Texas too. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm too old to be knowing what's going on. I probably shouldn't even brought it up. It probably is much deeper than I understand, but I know it got on my algorithm somehow, and I was like, I'm not okay with this, but I can't do nothing about it. This ain't my generation.
Yeah, what a time. What a time.
What a time.
What a time. That is Domonique Foxworth. Check him out on the Domonique Foxworth Show, available where all fine podcasts are given away for free. My brother, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
All right, Ryan, you got some DraftKings picks for the peeps.
I sure do. We're looking ahead to the Champions League final. I like Ousmane Dembele of PSG to score, and also Lautaro Martinez to score for Inter Milan. That's over at the Champions League final this Saturday. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code Bomani. That's code Bomani to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this here 3 times a week. Hit the voicemail line, 323-596-7767. We still got room for your story about that time you tried your pops, 323-596-7767. Ryan Brumley handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.